Hey everybody, this is Noah back for episode number 33 or entry 33 into my video of or my series of thought bubbles. If you didn't see the community post, I guess this is like the intro, but like if you didn't see the post, I ended up changing the schedule around a little bit. I think I'm going to cut it down to one episode a week. I think there's like a multitude of reasons why I wanted to cut down on episodes like one to like for one a week. Um I think a big reason one is because like I felt like a lot of the ones that I have been posting and like when I was filming it, I wasn't doing it because like I wanted to or like I was talking about something. Because I am passionate about everything that I talk about and like they are things that really matter to me, but also at the same time it was like starting a little bit to kind of become like a chore, if that makes sense. I think like it was like a mix of a bunch of things. I think my like work schedule has gotten a lot more busy. A lot of work is kind of coming in as well as kind of actual just life stuff happening, So with all of that and my schedule becoming a little bit more jam packed, it's a lot harder to like find the time to just sit down and record some of these and really like be able to keep it at a good kind of quality because I think that's also important too is that like I want to be able to express like the whole reason why I made the channel in the first place was to like be able to work on expressing myself better and being able to kind of talk through things better. And I felt like if I did it tired, it's not just doing a disservice to all the people who watch, but also to like kind of myself for like why I'm doing all of these. So um yeah, I like wanted to change that a little bit. And then also like I think it mainly was just a schedule thing, but also like a quality thing, Like so, it's kind of like a mix of both. So, from for the foreseeable future, I'm gonna have basically one episode every Friday. It'll be like the same time, just cutting out like the extra Monday episode. But if you're missing my content for whatever reason, then it'll just be there's a whole playlist of additional videos that you can watch. Anyway, today's thing that I wanted to talk about because I'm planning on maybe starting something new that'll like be a little bit different rather than me like kind of explaining my thoughts. Has to do with bowling. I've talked about bowling on like a multitude of like things for me, but I kind of wanted to just like document here because it's like almost me restarting my like competitive ish career. I don't know, it's not really competitive, but like I just wanted to like have like this video to document kind of my journey thus far in the sport and why I find it so enjoyable. I guess like first thing why I find like bowling so enjoyable because I think for me, especially as like an engineer, a lot of people who are in engineering will tell you that like you need to golf, right? Like this is the thing. Like most guys will golf, most engineers will golf, most guys who are engineers will golf for sure. There's a lot of people in my company who golf and who are very good at it, who like to go practicing golf. For me, it was just never really like a sport that I enjoyed. I think it's good to get out there and walk and get your steps and like, be able. I think the biggest thing, especially for engineers, is like networking, right? Like being able to go to golf tournaments and stuff like that. A lot of times engineers will just hold golf tournaments. And so it's a great place to network and meet new people and like make connections with other people in other companies. But I never really like got into it and it wasn't something that I really like enjoyed doing. Whereas even though people don't play it and it's not really used for networking in terms of like engineers or my job, like bowling has been something that has always been pretty enjoyable for me. I think I'll get into like the whole story or my backstory with it later, but I think me right now when I go, a lot of it is just like it's a place where like I can kind of like I don't know if dissociate is the right word, but like kind of like stop thinking about all of the things that are going on in life and just kind of focus on throwing ball at pin, or like kind of stop worrying about like work or if there's something going on in my life. Like it's nice to just have like a place to kind of just like get out of your head a little bit and just like go and do something. And so for me, that's bowling. I think like there's a few other things that kind of fall in that category, going on walks, hikes, whatever, right? But like all of those things kind of fall in that same category. But I think in the same token, like bowling is like right there with it in terms of like things that kind of just like are enjoyable for me to do and like make me happy. So I naturally kind of wanted to do it. But like I think a lot of the reason why I enjoy it so much has to do with like how I found it. So just like pretty much everybody else, like when you're a kid, you kind of like go bowling for fun, right? Like you're just going, oh, like going to the alley, goofing off, having fun with friends, going for birthday parties, right? Whatever. Like I was never like one of those kids that like grew up in a like super heavy like bowling family. Like once you're 9 and you can pick up a bowling ball, you're going, like there's a lot of people, I think, especially when I get later on into the story about like competitions, right? Where people were like bowling for like 10 years and they're like 20, and I'm like, how, like, and so sometimes it does feel like you are behind because it's like such a muscle memory sport. I think that's like a big thing. That's also like a reason why I like it, is like it's very rewarding if you put the time in. Like it's a very like muscle memory sport. Being able to replicate shots, being able to make adjustments, it's a very like mental, of course there's like a physical aspect to it, but I think it's a very like mentally like intensive sport, knowing how to like make the appropriate changes, being able to read lanes, stuff like that. But like anyway, I was never really one of those kids who like competed like when I was super young. I kind of just like was just a for fun bowler, and so that was kind of all I was. I didn't really have my own equipment, anything like that. So I ended up going to when we went to high school. um I didn't compete in any sports ever. Like I was never like in a sport that I played for school. So what ended up happening was like you get PE credits for competing in sports, and so um, I kind of missed out on that. And so because I didn't, then like I had to take like extra years of PE. And so one year, I think it was my sophomore year, they ended up coming up with this new like after school PE program where like you would stay a little bit late after school for like 2 or 3 days out of the week, and then you would kind of do some activities. And the activity was bowling. So I can't remember the coach's name, but basically we went, and if you know Pully Lanes, if you're in Hawaii, they ended up shutting down. But basically we I ended up joining that class because I needed some credits, of course, and bowling is was kind of just like a for fun leisure type of thing. So I signed up for it. I like went to all the classes and whatever, and I didn't have like any of my own equipment. I was just bowling with like the lane equipment, but I guess the coach saw something in terms of like talent. I don't know what he saw, but he basically told me, and like I'll never forget this quote, is like he came up to me and basically said that if I didn't try out for my school team, that I was doing my school a disservice. Um, so I guess I was scoring pretty well, but anyway, I pretty much took his advice to heart. I had a bunch of friends who were actually in bowling the previous year, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I decided to go and try out. Um, Bowling at Punahou was kind of interesting. I think for our school, it's pretty much no cut. Like whoever shows up pretty much makes the team. It's just a matter of like, are you JV or Vars? So I ended up placing on JV. I didn't really like care. I was just kind of happy that I was on the team, and so um, that was like the first like. Not only did I get like PE credit, and it was kind of a scam because like like other sports are like baseball where you got to do like weightlifting and stuff like that. Bowling is just kind of like you just show up and practice and play. So that's what I did. Showed up, practiced, played. We ended up having like two a lot of people on JV for some reason. I think a lot of people just ended up signing up that year. So we had like two teams that alternated back and forth. So I think there were like two match days every week, and then one team would play one, and then the next team would play the other, and we kind of like flip flop back and forth. Um, I ended up doing okay. I think this was at a time where like I just got my new equipment. I had my first bowling ball, had my first shoes, and like to say that like I was bad comparatively, like looking back, is kind of an understatement. I didn't know how to curve the ball, so I used to just throw it straight, which like for those of you who bowl makes no sense, right? Because it's like, why would you buy this like ball that is meant to hook if you don't hook the ball at all? So yeah, I wasn't sure, but I was doing okay, and then basically 2 weeks in, they were looking to like make some substitutions for varsity, and I ended up getting called up. So that was pretty cool. So first year went from JV to vars, and then I didn't really like take it as I knew it was a big accomplishment, but I think it was more so just the fact that I was out there having fun, and that like I was just trying to improve like in my own time, in my own game, and like not really worrying about like whatever else was going on outside of it. Anyway, that year happened. That's kind of like my rookie year and where I kind of started. Um, then I ended up going to or oh yeah, so the year after, basically leading up to it, I was like practicing a lot with a couple of my friends. We were practicing almost like 3 times every week. We're just going practicing, practicing, practicing. We got up to like a pretty decent average, and like we were pretty confident going into the next season, which would have been our senior years because I was a junior at the time. And then COVID happened, so we had the COVID year. Unfortunately, all of the sports got shut down. We didn't end up having a team. It's kind of like one of those like, dang, like what if, like because our whole team was seniors. I was pretty confident in our squad that like we could have done pretty well, but like it just never ended up happening. So it's all just kind of like a what if. But keeping it as like a what if is kind of like it's just like nothing to dwell over. It's kind of just like water under the bridge at this point. So didn't compete during COVID. I ended up like joining like a league over at, as I mentioned, Pully. It was really, really small. There was only like 3 or 4 people. But that was fun. Just kind of like keeping sharp, I guess. But then kind of when we got to my college years, I basically didn't bowl all throughout college. It was kind of like my skill bowling was like very much like a party trick. Like I think I was like in a spot where I was good enough to beat like my friends who didn't bowl, but I was like not good enough to compete, if that makes sense. Like I'm like in a good like middle area. That was kind of like where I was during college. I didn't really try to. There was like a club I think at school, but I didn't really end up joining because especially for having all my equipment at home. Like all of my equipment is in Hawaii, and I didn't want to like ship it to California and then bring it back, and then like I just kind of like didn't really go back to the sport. So then fast forward to like I graduated, and then I got back home. So now I'm back here in Hawaii, and I was kind of like thinking about things to do because like you don't have like a set schedule. Like even though like work takes up like 40 hours of my week, right? Like there's still time to do other things and kind of try out some new hobbies. And one of those things that I had, because still have all my equipment, is bowling. So I've been trying to slowly get back into it. It's been kind of like ups and downs. I think once I started, I found like my release is totally gone. My form is totally gone, as you might expect for coming back to the sport after 5 years. Um, but it's been kind of a whole process. I've been trying to like watch some YouTube videos about like some tips and tricks. I've been trying to just like practice and get a lot better and just like be consistent. I think that's the biggest thing for me right now. It's just being consistent with practice. Just trying to make sure that I'm trying to improve and not necessarily. I think the biggest thing too, especially when you're practicing, for me, that I'm always having to remind myself about is like to not focus too much on the score, because sometimes it's like you're just throwing it well, you're placing it well, but like some small things make it so you score less. I mean, it happens, right? But like I think consistency and score, I think, is like the two things that like I'm trying to configure my brain around. But um yeah, it's a whole learning process. I think it's been fun trying to learn it again. Almost, I've pretty much starting from zero, but I've been able to get in contact with a couple of local leagues, and I've signed up for those, and I'm really excited to kind of get back into it and start competing or playing again. Like I think always I'm gonna try and come in, especially because I'm doing it alone. I think it's a little bit nerve wracking because it's like you don't usually like when you bowl with the team, you kind of know everybody, but now I'm kind of just joining as a solo bowler, and so I don't really know anybody, or I don't really know what to expect. But I'm kind of just looking forward to one, meeting some new people. Hopefully they're pretty cool, and then also just like competing again and getting back into the groove and that whole shebang. But that's pretty much the story up to now. I am thinking possibly about like when the leagues do get started up, of like kind of recording my scores. I don't know if I'll do like in-game videos, but like I'm hoping maybe to just like post like a league recap or something during the week of like this is kind of what ended up happening this week for bowling. But that's basically like my ideas and my whole story. But hopefully, you enjoyed hearing me talk about how I ended up where I am right now in terms of sport of bowling. But if you would like to hear some other thoughts that I've had in the past, I'll throw a little playlist up here and a little subscribe button down there if you would like to subscribe. But if you like the video, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. And hopefully, I can do better at bowling in the future.